Arsenal have been hit with some awful news. Everybody knows Bukayo Saka is out with injury. But in this video, I'm going to show you and go through just what games Bukayo Saka is going to miss. And unfortunately, it might seem worse than what you originally thought. You can kind of hear 8 to 10 weeks and think, do you know what? We can get through that. But when I break down the games and quickly tell you what kind of matches he's going to miss, I don't know, I just think it gives you a different perspective. We're also going to be speaking about that Ipswich game, amongst other things as well. Before we get into it though, I just want to ask one very quick favour. If you could, please, just hit like on this video. So before I tell you about Bukayo Saka, I've got one very quick question. Who was your man of the match yesterday for the Arsenal vs Ipswich game? I want you to let me know in the comment section. I'm going to tell you mine in a minute. But first of all, who was your man of the match for Arsenal versus Ipswich? Look, let's get straight onto Bukayo Saka because it is bad news. And like I said, 10 weeks, you might hear 10 weeks and think we've had injuries this season. We can deal without Bukayo Saka. But when you actually think about it, 10 weeks is more than half of what's left of the season. Bukayo Saka is now going to miss more than half of the rest of the season. That will panic some people. And I'm not here to try and create a stir or try and create panic in the fan base. I'm literally here just telling you the truth. And the fact of the matter is, it's going to be difficult without Bukayo Saka. When you listen to some of the games that Bukayo Saka is going to miss, some of the important fixtures, it's hard to try and break it down. Listen, just some of these. This is just the Premier League, right? Brighton away, Tottenham, Aston Villa, Man City, Man United, Chelsea. They would be difficult games with Bukayo Saka. You add in other games as well. West Ham, Wolves. These are just the very difficult ones. It's going to be hard without Bukayo Saka. We know that. We need someone to step up. Do we need to enter now the January transfer window? Let me know in the comment section. Do we have to sign a striker? There's a lot of rumours about Wolves, Cunha. Do you think Arsenal need to bring him in? Do we need to go for a different profile of player? Just listen to some of the cup games that Bukayo Saka is going to miss. Man United in the FA Cup. Newcastle, both legs in the EFL Cup. And then if Arsenal do get to the final, Bukayo Saka might even miss the final, the cup final if Arsenal... Look, and it's not a major trophy. But the EFL Cup, if I'm being honest, I'm still looking at it as a tournament that I want to win. I still want to win the EFL Cup. Yes, it's not the highest on my list, but it's still a competition that I would look at and want to win. And in those type of games, you need your best players. And Bukayo Saka probably wouldn't be available unless a miracle happens. You know what it's like. They put out Saka's going to be out for 10 weeks. That could be more like 12 weeks. And if it is, he's going to miss that game because the EFL final will be played in 10 weeks. I think it's like 10 weeks and 3 days. So Bukayo Saka would need to be on a best case scenario and be back dead on track to make that game. Would that happen? I don't know. Some of the other games as well. The last two remaining Champions League group games, he's going to miss those. And then the Champions League round of 16, if we get into that, which is looking like we will, he's going to miss both of those. And then the only games that he would be back available for are the quarterfinals because they're not till early April. So there are just some of the games that Bukayo Saka is set to miss. And now you have that information. I want you to let me know, does that change your perspective for the rest of Arsenal's season? Does that make you panic more? I don't want to, like I said, I don't want people to panic. But does it make you sort of come to a realization that maybe it's just not our season? Without Bukayo Saka, he is our best player. He's our most prolific player. He's our best player in terms of output, in terms of numbers. It's Bukayo Saka. And you haven't got him for most of the season. You're missing huge cup games. You're missing cup finals if you get there. And you won't have him available until the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Do you worry when you hear that news? Let me know in the comment section. So now I just want to touch quickly on the Ipswich game because there were some positives in the Ipswich game. I'm going to tell you my man of the match straight away because it was myles Lewis-Skelly. This guy keeps impressing me. Like, I love it when the youngsters get a chance and they grab it with both hands. It kind of reminds me of like a Saka. That is the only way these young players usually get a chance. It's when there's injury in the squad and the manager's forced to use a younger player because it's the only option. Maybe things are slightly different with Lewis-Skelly, but in the past, that's kind of always the rule. At Manchester United, we saw it. Marcus Rashford was given an opportunity and he took it. Bukayo Saka was given an opportunity and he took it. Other players as well. That's how you get your chance. You have to be available as a young player. Wait for your opportunity and then take it. And that's exactly what we're seeing with Myles Lewis-Skelly. And I think it's an interesting story because although he was one of the standout players of the youth teams, he probably wasn't the number one that people were looking at. You know, a lot of attention has gone to Ethan Nwaneri. And although he's a brilliant player as well, the fact that Myles Lewis-Skelly has taken his opportunity so well just leaves me feeling happy because I love it when the young players get a chance and they take it. And now I look at Lewis-Skelly and say, I wouldn't not pick him as Arsenal's starting left back now. Like, he is the guy that has that position for me. Does Mikel Arteta think the same? I don't know. We're going to have to wait to see for the next game, but it's just brilliant to see. And I think in a lot of people's minds, they would want to play Myles Lewis-Skelly in that next game. Let me know if you agree. If you had the choice of playing Calafiori, Kivior, Zinchenko, Myles Lewis-Skelly, who do you play in that left-back position? Because for me right now, it is Myles Lewis-Skelly. I think he's performing at such a level that is so mature. One of the tiny things I noticed that Myles Lewis-Skelly does, it's a part of the game, but it goes so unnoticed at times. It's just the level of scanning. And people might say, what does it matter if a player's always checking his shoulders? It's just the fact that he's so aware. He has the awareness. Like, he doesn't obviously know that he's doing it all the time, but he's constantly scanning the pitch to see where players are because that's what kind of player he is. When he's on the ball, he's so composed. He knows where everyone is on the pitch, so he never panics. And you can see that in his game. When he receives the ball, even if there's a player tight to him, he never panics. He never loses the ball because he's so aware of what's happening in and around him that he's just able to deal with a situation when it happens. And I just like seeing Lewis-Skelly on that pitch. He's so confident. There was the moment where he kind of squared up to the guy because he pushed Gabriel. Again, another mature thing I love seeing in a young player. I don't know, I just wanted to shout out Lewis-Skelly and say he was my man of the match. I thought his performance was really, really good. I'm sure you guys agree, but let me know, if not Lewis-Skelly, then who was your man of the match in that game? Look, on the game in general, it wasn't the most exciting game in the world. I don't actually think it was as dull as some people are making it out to be. Look, Arsenal, in my opinion, probably still could have won that game 4 or 5-0. I think we had loads of chances. It wasn't a game where we was peppering their goal and we could have scored every 5-6 minutes. It wasn't that kind of game, but there was a few chances where Arsenal definitely could have scored. You think of the Gabriel header, you think of the Declan Rice one outside, you think of the Odegaard one where he kind of just strikes it and the keeper saves it. There was another big chance. Oh, Gabriel Jesus of course scored, but he was slightly offside. So there's a few goals there where if they went in, it could have been a different outcome in terms of you looking at the number and saying 5-0 as opposed to 1-0. It wasn't a 1-0 where I thought we was ever in danger. But with it only being 1-0, towards the end of the game, you do kind of, you know, you not panic, but you have it in the back of your mind that all this takes is one lucky strike or one deflection inside the box and it's a totally different result. And then the conversation around the game is totally different. All in all, it was a decent win. And the win was the most important thing because we saw Chelsea drop points. So many people are now saying Chelsea are in this Premier League title race, and for Arsenal to be back above them is a boost. Look, Chelsea is not the team Arsenal are chasing. Arsenal will this season be chasing Liverpool. We're going to have to see how it goes with them. They're playing West Ham tomorrow. So that'll be an interesting one to see how Liverpool get on there. And, you know, they still got a game in hand. It's going to be difficult. But what does it mean in terms of the title race? I do just think Man City are out of it at this point. It's hard to say Man City are out of the title race, but with how they're playing, you know, they got to play Leicester tomorrow. We'll have to see what happens in that game. Arsenal and Liverpool, believe it or not, in the past 5 games, I've got exactly the same form. In the past 5 games, we won 1, we've both drew 2 in a row, and then we both won 2 in a row. Liverpool and Arsenal, the past 5 games are on exactly the same form. People are saying the past 5 games, Arsenal maybe haven't looked their best, but we need to remember that Liverpool haven't looked their best. And that's no consolation, I know, because we need to gain points on Liverpool. I mean, them 2 games where Liverpool drew in a row and Arsenal drew in a row, that is the perfect opportunity for Arsenal to capitalise and try and bridge that gap of, it's only 6 points at the minute, but Liverpool do have that game in hand. It's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. It does make it way more difficult now, though, that we don't have Bukayo Saka. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the Bukayo Saka injury, on the Ipswich game, on Lewis-Skelly, and who was your man of the match. Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, if you could, like I said, do me a very quick favour. Please just hit like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.